Hello, welcome to Star Trek Sodium. This week we have Star Trek Next Generation's 25th episode of the third season, Transfigurations, which happens to be one of the very first episodes of the Next Generation that I ever owned on VHS tape. It came on a tape with part 1 of Best of Both Worlds. It was a pretty damn good tape, so let's get on to the facts that you didn't even know. Transfigurations is the first Beverly Crusher episode of Season 3, and as the second to last episode of the season, it's the only one. A plan earlier in the season to put the Hensing actress front and centre fell apart when she inhumed a burned egg, which left her unable to stand and deliver lines of dialogue over 10 seconds at a time because she had such a bad stomach. This led to the only incident in Paramount history of an actor having their contract altered to include the exclusion of a particular food in an actor's diet. If the Crusher actor was discovered to have inhumed a burned egg once again, it would be an instant dismissal of her services. The initial script for the episode described the character of John Doe as being 8 foot tall. The Hensing casting team allegedly put out a casting call to all Hollywood acting agencies and management companies for an 8 foot tall male actor, but surprisingly there was unfortunately no such actors available at the time. The Worf actor's girlfriend at the time, Julia Roberts, the actress, who was visiting the studio at the time of filming Transfigurations to see how the magic was made for the wonderful world of Star Trek. As a big star at the time, she wanted to be in Star Trek and possibly asked Rick Berman if she could be written into the episode. But as the most expensive actress in Hollywood at the time, she demanded $3 million, which was her minimum, to appear. Rick quickly dismissed the woman from the studio and asked the Worf actor not to bring his awful women to the set anymore. Did you ever look at the makeup of the aliens closely in this episode and think you were accidentally watching a frightening horror movie? That's because the design and applied makeup effects for John Doe was done by the acclaimed Stavros Jones, who had previously worked exclusively and extensively on horror films. This is exactly why the character looks so damn scary to everyone who sees him. Famously, the dreadful aliens in the episode are the Zalconians, but in the early draft of the script, they were actually called the Arseholians. Patrick Stewart apparently had to point out to Michael Piller that in his native England, the word arsehole is the same as the American bastardized and dumbed down word asshole. After a mad scramble to change the name, they at first chose the name Malconians and then finally settled on the Zalconians after they realised that the Malconians of Australia wouldn't be very happy with sharing a name with these ugly aliens. The actors realised that giving John Doe a perfectly white costume was a terrible mistake when he returned from his lunch break with a mustard smear across the shoulder where the actor had wiped his mouth on it after his beef and mustard sandwich. The first print of the DVDs for Season 3 wildly show the yellow mustard as the colour contrast is set to medium-high warmth, but since then it has been colour corrected to eliminate the soapy mustard. The frightening makeup on John Doe has an interesting story behind it. Rumour has it that Patrick Stewart didn't want to be upstaged by an even more handsome actor, and so requested privately to the producers that famous makeup artist Stavros Jones come in and do his absolute worst on John Doe. Rick Berman was happy to indulge the bald captain, and so we have the walking monstrosity that is John Doe. Did you ever start watching this cruciate episode and get the feeling that something felt a bit off? That's because the stardate that Captain Picard murmurs at the start of the episode is quite incorrect, as the stardate indicates a leap year. But the year 2366 that the episode takes place in is obviously not a leap year. It's plain to anyone. So in the scene where Riker explains to John Doe about it being a leap year, he is completely wrong. Perhaps the scene was accidentally written by the writers of Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds, who famously get everything wrong. All of the actors were happy to receive a copy of the script for the fun episode Transfigurations. One person who was left out, though, was the Wesley person, who didn't even receive a script. As part of the character being slowly written out of the show, Berman instructed the production team not to bother sending him a script at all, as an early part of cutting ties with the popular child star. Transfigurations is the only episode in all of Star Trek that would be so good that it would get a remake in Deep Space Nine. Not only did it get remade under a different name, but the newer version of the episode was at least 5 times better, according to Metacritic rankings and Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Thankfully, the remade episode was successfully changed enough so that not many people would ever notice. Only the cleverest of fans would ever see through the heavily camouflaged episode. And the comment of the week goes to Michael Longshanks, who says, "The only thing I've ever supported Mook something with is her attention to detail when hitting the Crusher boy actor." Yeah, I agree. I think I would have been more happy if Wesley Crusher had stuck around every episode for the entirety of Star Trek Next Generation. If only she had given him a good whack around the face every time, I wouldn't have minded him staying. Thanks for listening to my facts all about Star Trek Next Generation's 25th episode of the 3rd season, Transfigurations. I hope you learned a thing or two about the episode here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Go and watch some more of my excellent videos and come back next week for more excellent videos. I'll see you next time, and if you have any comments about this, please utter your comments down below. Maybe you've got a fact or two that I didn't know about, even though that's not possible. I'll see you next time. Ta-ta!